Have you ever stood on a beach and just wondered how a pretty calm ocean can suddenly create these huge, powerful waves that crash onto the shore? Well, it's not magic. It's an incredible journey of transformation, and it's all driven by some really powerful, invisible forces. Today, we're going to dive right into the physics of how a wave literally changes its shape and size as it travels from the deep sea all the way to the coast.
I bet you've seen this before, right? You're at the coast, and you notice the waves aren't just coming in as straight lines. Instead, they seem to bend and curve around a rocky point or sneak into a quiet harbor. Well, that's not random at all. It's actually the result of this fascinating dance between the wave's own energy and the changing shape of the ocean floor beneath it. So let's break down the physics behind all of this.
All right, so the first big change a wave goes through as it gets close to land is something called shoaling. You can think of it as the moment the water gets just shallow enough for the wave to start feeling the seabed. This is a huge moment for the wave. It's the official start of its transformation from a deep ocean traveler to a coastal powerhouse.
So what exactly is wave shoaling? Simply put, it's the process that makes waves get taller as they move into shallower water. The key thing to understand here is the conservation of energy. As the water depth shrinks, all that energy the wave is carrying gets squeezed into a smaller and smaller space. It has nowhere to go but up, and that's what forces the wave to grow vertically.
Okay, so let's walk through this step by step. First, as the wave gets closer to the coast, the water's obviously getting shallower. As that happens, the bottom of the wave starts to drag along the seabed. It's like it's tripping over its own feet. This friction slows the wave down. But, and this is the important part, that energy has to go somewhere. Since the wave isn't moving forward as fast, that energy gets redirected upwards, pushing the wave higher and higher.
And this chart gives you the perfect before and after picture. Out in deep water, a wave is fast. It's relatively short in height, and the distance between waves, the wavelength, is really long. But as it hits that shallow water, everything changes. It slows down, it gets much taller, and the wavelength shortens because the waves start to bunch up together. It's the same wave, but its characteristics are completely different.
But shoaling is only half the story. What happens when a wave runs into an obstacle, like a big rock, an island, or a man-made breakwater? It doesn't just hit it and stop. It actually bends. And this brings us to our second key concept for today, diffraction.
Diffraction is the reason that even sheltered spots, like the water right behind a pier, aren't perfectly still. It's this really cool process that allows wave energy to bend around an obstacle and spread out into what we call the shadow zone behind it. In a way, it's what allows waves to turn corners.
So how on earth is this bending even possible? Well, the secret lies in something called Huygens' principle. It sounds complicated, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Imagine that every single point along a wave's crest is like a tiny pebble being dropped in the water, creating its own little circular ripple. When an obstacle blocks part of the wave, the ripples from the very edge are now free to spread out into that open, sheltered space, and that creates a brand new curved wavefront.
This table shows you exactly how diffraction works around a breakwater. A nice, straight wave approaches as a parallel line, but the second it hits the tip of that breakwater, that single point acts like a new source, sending out these curved, lower energy waves that bend right into the calm, sheltered area behind it.
Now, understanding shoaling and diffraction isn't just some fun academic exercise. These principles are at work all the time, shaping our coastlines and having these enormous, real-world consequences on everything from coastal engineering to how we predict natural disasters.
And here is where it gets really serious and pretty terrifying. Take a look at this quote. It's talking about tsunamis. Way out in the deep ocean, they can be super deceptive, maybe only half a meter high. You might not even notice one pass under your boat. But as they get closer to land and the water gets shallower, wave shoaling takes over with absolutely devastating results.
The numbers are just staggering. A tiny half-meter wave out in the deep ocean can become an absolute monster because of shoaling. During the 1993 tsunami in Japan, that little wave grew to over 15 meters. That's about 50 feet high, by the time it smashed into Okashiri Island. That right there is the immense and truly devastating power of shoaling.
So, when you put it all together, why does all this physics matter so much? Well, understanding shoaling is what helps us predict the catastrophic impact of tsunamis, and our knowledge of diffraction is what lets us engineer effective breakwaters to protect our harbors and boats. At the end of the day, these principles are the foundation of the scientific models that help keep our coastal communities safe. From a simple wave just growing taller as it nears the shore to that same wave bending around a corner, the journey of a wave
is really a perfect story of physics in action. It's a great reminder that the ocean is governed by these elegant, incredibly powerful laws. And it kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing forces are at work all around us, just hiding in plain sight?